It's no surprise then that Macron has turned on wokeness, and this is good because he's a major world leader, if we can consider France a major country, which I think legally we might be obliged to do.
Still in the Security Council, let's say.
Yeah, but the point is, Macron has decided that it's actually woke leftists that are ruining France. So he has adopted the 2016 anti-SJW position on the left, which is good to see. Good to see that major world leaders can come out and say, you know what, Sargon was right. The political left is ruining French society because they insist on defining their countrymen according to ethnicity and depicting them as victims, Macron has claimed. Welcome to the club.
Based.
Yeah, finally.
That's fantastic.
He's actually arrived at the correct position.
What an amazing quote.
Yeah.
Just the left's awful. Why? Because they define everyone by their race.
Yeah, and they depict the non-whites as victims.
Yeah.
Fantastic. In an interview with Elle magazine, he said that ethnic minorities have effectively been placed under house arrest by left-wing ideology. He also blamed black rights activists and feminists for seeking to define people according to their gender and skin colour. Yep, that's intersectionality. That's the product of critical race theory. He's exactly right.
Like, I read one of the interviews, a different one, in which they were talking about feminism, and she's like, so are you a humanist feminist or an intersectional feminist? And you could see, like, even in the text form of him, like, groaning and being like, no, I'm not an intersectionalist.
Good. See, good. So this, of course, they say is likely to resonate in France because, I guess nobody in France wants to define the world this way, which has long refused to categorize people.
It resonates everywhere.
Well, yeah, exactly.
In the United States and the UK, even with the Democrats in charge, when you ask the random people on the street, no one agrees to this stuff.
No.
It's like, the polling is like 6% of people can agree to this?
Yeah.
Even in the most wacko parts of the United States.
Yeah, and that
the country most infected.
In the US, I think it was 15%, and in UK it's 10%. But that's just progressive, sort of like left-wing ideology. That's not explicitly critical race theory. And so they, these people, a number of them will doubtless be like, well, I'm for the good things. It's like, yeah, but are you for them in this package is the question. Anyway, the French, of course, are quite consistent on this. Everyone in France is French, and they don't even ask their race, religion, or sexuality on the census form.
As Douglas Murray will point out, it's a pact between the different parties as well. Everyone agrees, left and right, that Islamism bad, wokeism not good. And that's something we don't have in the Anglosphere, and it's depressing.
No, we actually have a woke progressive alliance in the UK, where the Liberal Democrats, the Labour Party, the Green Party, and the Communist Party pretty much all agree that, we're radical communists, and we buy into wokeism.
And the Tories we'll be there in 10 minutes.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Next year, we will agree and join the Progressive Alliance. Anyway, so Macron carries on saying, I'm seeing society becoming progressively more racial. We had freed ourselves from this approach, and now we are once more categorizing people according to their race and doing that we are totally placing them under house arrest. Macron's interview was interpreted as an attempt to portray himself as a defender of the French social model, threatened by the sort of leftist ideas that are common in universities in the UK and America. His remarks were also viewed as an attempt to appeal to mainstream voters and reaffirm his claim to the centre ground before the elections. Cynical, but probably true, but he's also right that woke ideology is ruining society. Every society, wherever it goes. French society, no exception. And as you say, he defines himself as a feminist of the French kind, which, don't know about that, but my feminism is a humanism. I'm on the side of universalism. I don't subscribe to a fight that defines everyone according to their own identity or their own particularity. So, not even sure if I agree with where he's going there. But anyway, the point is he's not a wokist, and he's actively calling it out.
The question was explicitly, are you a humanist feminist or an intersectional feminist?
Yes.
And he responded with being like, no, not intersectional.
Yes. And we have a fantastic article about the origins of woke ideology from Dr. John Tangney. I know he hates it when I call him doctor, but he is, so I'm going to. He explains in this article, which is a premium article, you can sign up on lotus.com to go and read, how wokeness obviously comes from French authors, pedophiles like Foucault, Derrida, and de Beauvoir, and it's filtered through an American racial lens through American universities and has returned to the motherland.
And the motherland's like, what did you do?
Yeah. You're ruining France with this. It's like, well, they were French intellectuals. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, so returning to the article, he says, I could introduce you to young white men who have immense difficulty finding a job for different reasons. Social difficulties are not only structured by gender and skin colour, but also by social inequality. So yeah, Macron has become a 2016 anti-SJW. Love it. Love everything about it. Just subscribe to the Sargon of Akkad channel. It was really good. He says that intersectionality breaks up everything and was the negation of something universal, as in it's the lens itself that's a problem. Now, Macron has got a degree in philosophy, so it's good that he can actually articulate this correctly. Because, like, you know, Boris being like, there's nothing wrong with being woke. Yeah, there is. Yeah, there is. You know,
get the ice pick out.
Exactly. And thank God Macron is like, no. Wokeness is cancer. It's destroying French society. We shouldn't be doing this at all. This is cancer. Good for him. Shame Boris can't follow this same lead. Yeah, and so that's good. Good boy, Macron. And it's not just Macron that's against what I guess we'll call Islamo-leftism, because I like that term. Wokism. A few months ago, a bunch of French ministers in Macron's government were like, hang on a sec, this woke stuff is going to tear apart the Republic. Yes, it is. The French Minister of Higher Education, Frédéric Vidal, declared that Islamo-leftism corrupts all of society and universities are not impervious. Universities are the bloody source of it, mate. She criticised radical academics for always looking at everything through their prism of their will to divide, and announced that she would be requesting an investigation into university research in these subjects. Good. Following the Hungarian model. Ban it.
Well, I'm sorry, we already have Nazism banned.
Yes.
So this is not radical either.
No.
Like, you hear the SGWs freaking out and be like, no, you can't just ban it. It's like, yeah, but we already banned Nazism already.
Yeah.
Can we just ban its sister?
You can't just ban our bizarro version of Nazism. That's where you're wrong, kiddo. Jean-Michel Blanquer, the Minister of Education, declared that Islamo-leftism wreaks havoc in universities, true, and blamed France's oldest national student union for being the intellectual perpetrator of the assassination. Because, of course, student unions get very, very caught up in radical left-wing politics, and he's correct.
Very few people vote, then the only candidates are supported by them and their mates,
Yeah.
and then that's enough.
Yeah. So obviously the Guardian's author here had to leave him away. No, don't criticise critical race theory. Curiously, France's culture warriors believe these new ideas and critical theories are imported from US campuses.
Where the hell else could they come from?
We know they did. We know the genealogy of this ideology.
They literally divide everything into black and white, which no one in Europe does.
No.
No one in Europe talks like that. We always talk about ethnic
What would
groups.
be the point of literally going, yes, the white people, what the Germans know, the French know, the Belgians this time,
Like, it makes no sense
It's not
outside
helpful.
of the United States of America to talk like this.
or possibly colonial Africa, I suppose.
Maybe, but
But anyway, race relations were initially studied in Britain, while the concept of decoloniality was created in Latin America. Okay, but that's not what we're saying. We're saying critical race theory, which was created in American universities, initially by a chap called Derek Bell, and then following on with Kimberly Crenshaw and all the various others that we talk about in the video. Like, it's not a mystery who these people are. They wrote textbooks. You can read the textbooks and come to understand what it is they're putting across. So they say, and then, right, they move on. Ironically, many of the ideas that have been developed in North America were influenced by French theorists. Right. So you know that the French theorists ended up taking their ideas to America, and these have come back. You know that's the case, and yet you're still trying to play defense. Lies. Just lies. A remarkable feature of this movement is its disregard for the international literature nourishing these new ideas. Instead of understanding them, it appears more interested in caricaturing them. Bull. Absolute bull. Again, not secret, not difficult to find, and widely known, widely read, and it's bizarre that you would find the need to lie about this.
I'm glad that Macron's still keeping the fight then. So, because he's been coming out with a few base takes, just identifying the problem, intersectionality is destroying the entire free world from within, and he's keeping it up. Fantastic. I don't know why the rest of the world hasn't caught on, particularly Boris. I mean, it is embarrassing that the left-wing candidate in France is able to get this, but the right-winger in the UK
has a pride flag on the front of 10 Downing Street.
are just saying there's nothing wrong with being woke.
It's mad.
Everything wrong with being woke.
Yeah.
It's what is it? Gender and race socialism.
Yes.
And I'm like, yes, I'm a conservative. I stand for that. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
No, it's absolutely cancerous. Good on Macron for leading the way, showing that, world leaders should be making an actual stance against wokeism, because, as he's saying, it's going to tear apart society. And it is tearing apart society. We're seeing this everywhere. So things aren't getting better the more woke they get, are they? Things are getting way, way worse. So good on Macron. If you enjoyed this segment from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can watch the full broadcast live every weekday at 1 p.m. UK time on lotuseaters.com.